Forbes just released their 2025 list of the most powerful women in sports, and the entire landscape shifted in a single moment. Headlines exploded across every major outlet. Social media went into overdrive, and inside the WNBA, emotions started boiling long before cameras rolled. Because sitting confidently at number 4 is none other than Caitlin Clark. Not only did she outrank some of the biggest female names on the planet, but she also became the highest-ranked athlete on the entire list, something no one from the league had ever even imagined. This was not just about placement on a chart. This was a cultural earthquake that exposed a widening gap between rising stars and established veterans. Clark's impact could no longer be brushed aside as hype or temporary interest. Forbes did not rank her based on popularity alone. They studied real power in real numbers, and those numbers painted a picture the league had never seen before. And while many fans cheered, one reaction stood out above all. Aya Wilson, positioned at number 15, responded in a way that revealed far more than she intended. Her behavior did not come from casual annoyance or competitive spirit. It came from a place of simmering jealousy that had been building for months, a frustration rooted in watching someone new rewrite the rules of fame, influence, and financial success. Because Clark's rise is nothing short of unprecedented. In her rookie season, she pulled in $8.1 million, something unheard of in women's basketball. That number dwarfs the average rookie salary, which sits near $60,000. While most first-year players are budgeting rent and tracking grocery prices, Clark was signing contracts in boardrooms worth more than the entire franchise's valuation. From Nike to Gatorade to Wilson's Sporting Goods, her name became synonymous with a level of market power the league had never experienced. So when Forbes crowned her one of the most powerful women in all of sports, it was not just recognition. It was validation. It was confirmation of something the world already suspected, that Caitlin Clark had become the most influential force in women's basketball. But for Aya Wilson, it was something else entirely, something she could no longer hide behind smiles, interviews, or carefully worded posts. This was the moment everything cracked. To understand why the Forbes ranking became such an emotional trigger inside the league, you have to look at the money. Because the truth is simple. The financial gap between Caitlin Clark and the rest of the WNBA is not a difference. It is a canyon. A canyon so wide that even veteran players with championship rings and years of experience suddenly found themselves questioning their value. The average rookie entering the league earns roughly $60,000. It is a modest income, barely enough to cover rent in some major cities. Most newcomers spend their first year learning how to balance a tight budget with a demanding schedule. But when Caitlin Clark arrived, she walked into a completely different world. She walked away with $8.1 million before she had even taken her first professional shot. That number spread across the league like a shockwave. Players who had spent years grinding, traveling overseas during the off-season, playing year-round just to make ends meet, saw a rookie skip straight past financial struggle into generational wealth. Clark's official salary was ordinary, comparable to other rookies, but what happened off the court was extraordinary. Her Nike deal alone changed the conversation. An 8-year, $28 million guaranteed contract that instantly put her in elite territory. Not just elite for the WNBA, elite compared to global sports icons. Nike had never invested that kind of long-term money into a female basketball rookie, ever. And once Nike made its move, the rest of the corporate world followed. Gatorade stepped in next, placing Clark in the same category as LeBron James and Serena Williams, athletes whose names move products and shift global markets. Then came Wilson's Sporting Goods, handing her a brand partnership that echoed the era of Michael Jordan. These deals were not symbolic. They were statements. They announced to the world that Caitlin Clark was not just a great player. She was an economic engine capable of reshaping the financial reality of an entire sport. And while fans celebrated this rise, not everyone inside the league felt inspired. Some felt overshadowed. Some felt replaced. And one veteran in particular felt the spotlight slipping through her fingers. As Clark's numbers rose, Aya Wilson's frustration rose right alongside them. Aya Wilson did not wake up one morning suddenly angry at Caitlin Clark. This was not an overnight explosion. It was a slow burn, a simmering frustration that built piece by piece as Clark's rise became impossible to ignore. And the very first cracks in Wilson's composure appeared the moment the Nike deal went public. While Clark was celebrating her historic partnership, Wilson jumped on social media with posts that felt more like warnings than commentary. She questioned why rookies were receiving treatment that, in her eyes, veterans had spent years earning. She never used Clark's name, but she didn't need to. The timing told the story for her. Everyone online understood exactly who she was talking about. Then the pattern intensified. Wilson began posting a stream of nostalgic photos with Nike executives, almost reminding the world that she had relationships too, that she had been loyal to the brand long before Clark's arrival. These posts were subtle at first, but they grew more pointed as the attention around Clark skyrocketed. Suddenly, Wilson was sharing daily stories about paying dues, respecting the veterans, and the value of long-term consistency. She posted old highlights, shoe launch events, and behind-the-scenes moments that she had never bothered to showcase before. It felt like someone fighting to reclaim the spotlight, someone trying to prove her worth all over again. Then came the I have a shoe too phase, a moment fans instantly recognized as a sign of complete insecurity. Wilson began posting pictures of her signature Nike shoe from every possible angle, tagging Nike in captions about loyalty, legacy, and veteran excellence. It was transparent, it was desperate, and it was nothing like her usual online behavior. But the breaking point came when Time magazine announced Caitlin Clark as Athlete of the Year. While social media erupted with congratulations and admiration, Wilson's public response was a single sentence. No excitement, no warmth, no personal message. Coming from a player known for long, heartfelt posts supporting fellow athletes, this cold, clipped statement told fans everything they needed to know. This wasn't friendly competition. This was resentment. This was a veteran watching a newcomer take the spotlight she thought she had secured. And Clark's rise was only just beginning. By the time Caitlin Clark reached mid-season fame, Aya Wilson's frustration was no longer subtle. It erupted into something loud, public, and impossible for fans to ignore. What had started as passive-aggressive posts turned into a full-blown pattern of online behavior that exposed exactly how deeply Clark's rise had shaken her. The shift became obvious when reports surfaced showing Clark's merchandise selling out nationwide, while Wilson's signature shoe struggled to move off store shelves. Retailers quietly confirmed what fans already noticed. Anything with Clark's name or image sold instantly. Posters, jerseys, basketballs, every item vanished within hours. Meanwhile, Wilson's merchandise sat untouched. That comparison alone sent a shockwave through the league, and Wilson's social media activity right after was impossible to overlook. Suddenly, she was posting about her shoe line again, this time nearly every day. She shared old promotional shots, press appearances, and shoe events, flooding her timeline with reminders of her own brand. Fans saw through it immediately. These were not celebratory posts. They were attempts to compete with Clark's unstoppable momentum. Then came the speaking engagement tension. Clark was landing appearances with corporate giants, commanding fees higher than what many WNBA veterans earned in a full season. Wilson had been doing paid appearances for years, but rarely talked about them. Now she was sharing backstage photos, posting quotes from her speeches, and highlighting corporate partnerships that had never been showcased so aggressively before. It felt forced, almost like she needed to prove she was still relevant in a world that seemed to be moving past her. Her comments began shifting too. Wilson started talking about hype versus substance. She spoke about the importance of consistency, long-term excellence, and impact beyond social media. On the surface, these sounded like general statements about the sport, but fans weren't fooled. The timing lined up perfectly with every major Clark accomplishment. Each post read like a direct response, a quiet dig aimed at the rookie who had already become the face of women's basketball. By this point, the jealousy was no longer something fans whispered about online. It was obvious. It was public. And it was only going to get worse when Forbes stepped onto the stage. The moment Forbes released its 2025 list of the most powerful women in sports, everything that had been simmering beneath the surface ignited in an instant. Clark securing the number 4 position overall and ranking as the top-earning female athlete was more than just an accolade. It was a seismic shift that confirmed what fans, brands, and media had already seen happening with their own eyes. Clark wasn't simply popular. She was reshaping the entire business model of women's sports. Forbes does not hand out recognition lightly. Their ranking system is built on hard data, revenue influence, cross-market appeal, and cultural impact measured across multiple sectors. And when their analysts ran the numbers, Clark didn't just place well, she dominated. Earnings, television draw, social engagement, ticket sales, and merchandising all tilted heavily in her favor. She outperformed veteran athletes who had spent decades building their names. She overshadowed Olympic champions and tennis legends with a global fan base. Her rise was not a fluke. It was unprecedented. This was the moment Wilson could no longer dance around the truth. Clark had reached a level no WNBA player, rookie, or veteran had ever touched. And when reporters began celebrating Clark's achievement, Wilson responded with the coldest message she had ever posted. A single sentence of congratulations. No emojis, no praise, no warmth. Fans compared it to the heartfelt posts she normally shares when her colleagues win awards, and the difference was undeniable. The silence that followed said even more. While Clark's accomplishment spread across headlines worldwide, Wilson avoided interviews, avoided commentary, and avoided anything that might force her to acknowledge Clark's success. It was the public version of shutting the door and refusing to speak. Behind the scenes, executives saw something else. The Forbes ranking validated what they already believed. Clark wasn't just a rookie phenomenon. She was the future. Her presence drove revenue, ticket sales, marketing campaigns, and broadcasting contracts. Brands didn't just want her, they needed her. In that single ranking, Forbes confirmed the new hierarchy of women's sports. Clark at the top. Everyone else is trying to catch up. And for Wilson, that truth was unbearable. The Forbes announcement didn't just name a winner. It exposed a financial gulf so wide that the entire sports world had to stop and reevaluate what power in women's basketball really looks like. When analysts dug into Clark's economic footprint, the numbers were so staggering that even veteran athletes were left stunned. Her estimated $8.1 million earnings weren't just impressive, they were transformative. They signaled a new era where talent fused with cultural influence could produce revenue streams previously unimaginable in women's sports. Clark wasn't only earning more than other WNBA players, she was generating more money for everyone around her. That was the difference. Her games produced the highest television ratings in league history. Networks that once struggled to fill airtime now battled for broadcast rights whenever the Indiana Fever appeared on the schedule. Whenever Clark stepped onto the court, viewership skyrocketed by almost 400%. Advertisers competed to secure slots during her games because they understood something simple. Clark didn't just attract fans, she attracted audiences that had never watched a WNBA match in their lives. Cities felt her impact, too. When the Fever traveled, stadiums filled. Local businesses reported record foot traffic on game days. Merchandising tables were wiped clean before halftime. Whether she played at home or away, Clark's presence turned arenas into economic engines that lifted entire communities for 24 hours. Even more shocking was Clark's ability to penetrate markets outside basketball. Her appearance at Pro-Am golf tournaments generated national media coverage. Sports channels began featuring her across different athletic segments. She wasn't just a basketball player anymore. She was a cross-sport cultural figure, and brands noticed the shift immediately. Nike, Gatorade, and Wilson understood that attaching their name to Clark meant tapping into a fan base that stretched far beyond traditional sports consumers. Her endorser value became so significant that executives compared her trajectory to global icons in other leagues. All of this placed immense pressure on players already fighting for recognition and financial growth. For veterans like Wilson, who had spent years trying to push the league into mainstream relevance. Watching Clark achieve in one season what others had chased for a decade felt like an insult layered on injury. The Forbes ranking didn't just elevate Clark. It pushed Io Wilson into a spotlight she never wanted. For months, she tried to mask her frustration behind polite interviews and carefully worded posts. But after the list dropped, everything she had been holding back finally burst into public view. What had been subtle tension suddenly became undeniable. Wilson's reaction began within minutes of the announcement. Fans noticed she liked several posts questioning whether the ranking was even fair. Others pointed out how she instantly reshared old highlights and veteran statistics, almost as if she wanted to remind the world of what she accomplished before Clark ever entered the league. One follower summed it up perfectly in the comments. "This isn't a celebration, this is panic." She posted a message about hype not equaling impact. She posted another one about people needing to earn their place. She posted a third about respecting those who came before you. None of these mentioned Clark by name, but everyone knew who she meant. The timing was too sharp and the message too pointed to be a coincidence. Even her closest supporters sensed the shift. Wilson stopped engaging with Clark-related content entirely. She stopped congratulating her publicly. She stopped acknowledging her rising influence. And this wasn't what the Wilson fans were used to. She had built her reputation on uplifting other players, celebrating their wins, and championing the league as a whole. Suddenly, she was doing the opposite. Sports analysts noticed it too. Television panels debated whether Wilson was experiencing professional jealousy or something deeper, like the fear of being overshadowed permanently. Reporters brought up the uncomfortable truth that Wilson's own signature shoe wasn't selling, her endorsements had plateaued, and her brand momentum had slowed long before Clark arrived. The emotional breaking point became visible when Wilson responded to a fan who asked why Clark was getting so much attention. Instead of providing a neutral answer, she replied with a comment about the media choosing favorites. That single line exploded across social platforms. It confirmed what people had suspected for months. Wilson wasn't just annoyed. She was threatened. For the first time in her career, Wilson wasn't battling athletes on the court. She was battling a cultural movement too large for her to stop. Forbes just dropped their 2025 list of the most powerful women in sports, and one name is dominating headlines: Caitlin Clark. Sitting at number 4 and ranking as the top athlete on the list, she didn't just make waves. She redefined what female athletes can earn. In her rookie season, Clark pulled in $8.1 million, dwarfing the average WNBA rookie salary of just $60,000. While other rookies worried about rent, Clark was negotiating multi-million-dollar deals in boardrooms. Her Nike contract alone, 8 years and $28 million guaranteed, set a historic precedent. Soon after, Gatorade and Wilson's Sporting Goods followed, placing her alongside legends like LeBron James and Serena Williams. Clark's impact extended beyond basketball. Merchandise sales, ticket sales, and broadcast ratings all surged wherever she played. Cities, arenas, and businesses all felt the economic ripple. But not everyone celebrated. Veteran Io Wilson reacted with visible jealousy. Her social media posts shifted from supportive to pointed critiques, subtle digs about hype versus substance, and desperate attempts to reclaim attention with the "I Have a Shoe Too" campaign. Her lukewarm congratulations for Clark's Time Athlete of the Year award revealed the emotional toll of being eclipsed almost overnight. Clark's influence isn't just financial, it's cultural. She's inspiring a new generation of athletes, driving unprecedented viewership, and creating opportunities that never existed for women's sports. Forbes' ranking, corporate partnerships, and global recognition prove her marketability is unmatched, forcing the league to evolve around her. Caitlin Clark is more than a rookie phenom. She's a movement, a blueprint, and a new face of women's basketball. The WNBA will never look the same, and Clark has set the standard for an entire generation.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into Hollywood's hidden history.